Good morning, welcome, or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to TGS Live. This is Thursday, the 3rd of March, and despite the ongoing global problems and catastrophes, TGS business is continuing. Most Thursdays, you'll see TGS Live, where we give a summary of what's been happening in the network, some news, some updates, the sort of things we get up to, and the connections that are being made. And I think now, after 6 months of this TGS Live, that we're going to modify a little bit how we do it and have it one Thursday a month. So the first Thursday of every month, we'll be talking about TGS. What is TGS? TGS is a multidisciplinary network of audit, accounting, advisory, tax, and commercial legal firms who offer all the services an SME or a bigger business will need to be active and to be successful and to be sustainable. At the new year, we set out a big mind map about everything that TGS is, and it got a bit out of control, so we're trying to chunk it down. There are so many things that we are and so many things that we do that it's sometimes difficult to keep a handle on just the size of what happens in TGS. Once you're in the network, you begin to see what goes on and you can find out. But basically, we've narrowed it down to three key things. There's quality, development, and insight. So quality, you're associated with a top 25 brand. There's a quality review of every member because we're a network, not an association. So that's an important distinction. Share an identity, which is quality. There are many opportunities for you to develop your staff, to develop your business together, and you will get constant insights into the industry, whether you're in audit, accounting, advisory, tax, or commercial legal services. We'll get onto that a little later. But more important, I think, than what we do is who is TGS, because it's a collection of firms, yes, but it's also a collection of individuals. And what we've been remembering a bit more recently is that despite the fact that we were super early adopters of Zoom and video conferencing, I remember 4 or 5 years ago, it was one of the criteria for our member firms. The first meeting, we thought 5 years ago, will they accept a video conference call? And little did we know that in the future, that would be pretty much all we would be doing to communicate with people. So it's amazing how fast things change. Take you on a bit of a travel because we've been traveling recently. This is the view, wonderful view of Ireland from the office of our member in Ireland, GBW. So we were there last week to meet with David Gillette, Tony Wallace, and John Fisher, and I have a picture of them also. We went for a fantastic lunch with them. We spent the day talking about strategy, development opportunities, how we could develop their firm in Ireland, what they do over in Europe, wider global capacities, even to the extent that John, I think, is going to give a presentation about Irish tax and opportunities in the upcoming webinar event in Berlin. Then we went to see Thomas in his new offices in Madrid, TGS Ediza. What a fantastic firm and a fantastic team. Here is Thomas. You've probably met him, and if you haven't, if you join the network, you will have the opportunity to meet him. And of course, there is Marc, president of TGS as well. We were traveling together. So quality. The three chunks I had, quality, development, and insight. I think that's much easier to hang my Thursday live sessions on because we can be able to tell you pretty much everything that's been happening. In the last virtual conference, we had a presentation from Justina Swat, a little workshop about brand and user experience. So you can check our website at the moment because we've summarized the workshop in an article. But the notion of user experience is enormously important. And having a brand which is identifiable as a brand, a color, a logo, all that kind of thing, the global intangible side of it. A brand is also how your client experiences what happens. And this is another thing where TGS can offer you some benefits because a unified or similar brand experience around the world is going to make sure that you keep clients, they're happy, new clients know what to expect because they've experienced TGS in a different country or they've experienced TGS in a different sort of way. So that's an article which is well worth reading. Another way where TGS can help improve your quality is that all our objectives, as you know, are tagged to the United Nations Global Compact, Sustainable Development Goals, and sustainability in general, not just with the United Nations. This notion of ESGs is becoming ever more important, and I think even ever more important as we see war in Ukraine, climate disaster, COVID. There are all these things which mean that people are going to be looking at your firm and how you interact with your environment, what are your values, and what kind of effect do you have. There was an excellent presentation given by Carla Graberhorn. I'm sorry, Carla, you'll forgive me for getting your name wrong. I don't have notes with me. But about the CSR success story they have in Mauer, in one of our members in Germany. That's worth seeing. And if you get onto the website of TGS, you will see that presentation again. Also, there is an article about it on the TGS website. So development. Early this week, we've been back with the global service line development. So in TGS, there is always an opportunity to share your expertise. If you have a niche service or particular expertise, you can amplify that, leverage your success by sharing it with other members. And this is exactly what we're doing with Guy Saint-Chagrin, the grand poobah of transfer pricing, is helping develop a transfer pricing group within TGS. And we're also working with Guy Predal, who is helping develop a global intangibles strategy and services. So that is something I would very recommend you getting involved with. And of course, our young leaders and everybody else who would like to is developing advisory services. How do you market, sell, and deliver advisory services? That's another thing for the last 10 years, which has been a key request from members, is how do we move from compliance to advisory? So we have a GAP Advisory Accelerator program on the go with TGS, which is going to help you lead your staff into further advisory success. And there's the slide for that. Also development, more concrete perhaps, is the members in the Southeast Europe met again. That was our third meeting I've been on, to discuss development opportunities amongst them. So that's Cyprus, Greece, Romania, working together to approach bigger clients and better clients. And as a regional approach, this is often possible, rather than bigger companies looking at your firm and saying, okay, so you work in X country, and you say, yes, but we can offer, TGS, the brand again, offer these services in X, Y, Z countries, so you can approach much bigger clients. Also, we have regional development groups. We've had one meeting already this year. The next meeting is coming up next week. So all the member firms from Asia Pacific, from Africa, from Europe, and the Americas will meet for 45 minutes in individual sessions where we talk about development opportunities. So is that sharing clients? Is that developing shared approaches to clients? Or is that leveraging expertise that we have in these different places? So these are well worth participating in if you're not already a member. So, insight. When you meet people around the world who are doing something similar to you in a different context, you will gain insight. And this insight, it's way beyond what you will achieve by reading magazines or reading the news or speaking to your competitors in your home country, because this is the exact people working in the exact same way as you do. And to that end, we have started, or we're in the experimental phases of the TGS Best Practice podcast. Now, this is a working title, so I don't know if it's going to be called the Best Practice podcast, but the idea is to harness the best practice in the network from the members we have as experts or experts that we meet in a particular domain, so that we can archive conversations and transcribe them to share what the best and brightest minds in the professions are talking about. So it could be the Best Practice podcast. I'll have more news about that next month, and hopefully the whole thing will be up and running. In fact, if you have a suggestion of a name for the TGS podcast, which would be better, is it just the TGS podcast? Is it TGS Best Practice? I don't know. Anyway, so we've started the podcast beta with a series of interviews with inspiring characters in TGS. And because next week is International Women's Day, on Tuesday the 8th, the first series of interviews we've done is with inspiring women in the network. So we've chosen women who are just starting out in their profession, if it's audit, accounting, tax, or legal, or advisory. We've chosen people kind of mid-career and people who are right at the top of the chain. And we've asked them a series of questions. How did you get where you are? How did you get into the profession? What barriers did you face? All this kind of thing. And these are great little 15, 20, you will see this one's 20 minutes. Number one was Pelumi Odutola. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us. Always a pleasure. And you can listen to this beta podcast on the website. There'll be a link in this chat box here. I think Digital Margot, if we included that. If we didn't, we'll add that. So you can listen to that and give us your feedback. I'll also post that on the TGS WhatsApp page so that you can give some feedback about that. TGS podcast, best practice. So the other big news is that the seminars for May are going to be in person. So we've made the reservations. We'll be in Berlin the 19th and 20th of May and the days before and days after if you want to come and meet us. And in Miami from the 23rd to the 24th of May. So this week, still at this moment, there's an early bird. So if you log on and book your place at the regional seminar of 2022 this week, you will get a discount. I'm afraid I can't tell you what the discount is, and I can't remember what the rates are for participation, but it's a good idea to get the early bird if you can. So what's it going to be? It's 2 days of exchanges, information sharing, workshops, maybe some speakers, but you know what TGS is like. If you know TGS, these are very active, they're very proactive. It's the members driving what's happening, but it's the opportunity to speak, to get together, and to exchange best practice. Maybe the podcast will stay TGS best practice. You'll let me know. We're delighted to be able to meet you there. I've been speaking to a lot of people this week, and everyone I spoke to so far is coming. So there's going to be a good turnout, and we will be super happy to meet you there. Also, one last reminder before I get off the screen is that you can connect with us in many ways, and you should, because you might miss the information. I hear many times people saying, I would have come to that event, but I didn't know about it till the last minute. We publish all the events which are happening on the TGSU website, which is a following slide, but periodically we also share the information on the TGS website. Make sure you have a look at that. Set up an RSS feed if you can. There's a hub if you are a member. Make sure you're connected to the TGS hub and that your information is up to date so that people can find you. If you want people to find that you're an expert in VAT, put that on your profile in the hub because people will be looking for you. Also, you can connect to us on LinkedIn. There'll be a link in the box below. If you do Instagram, you can follow us on Instagram. You'll see some nice pictures when we get traveling again, and some nice pictures when we're not traveling because, Paris is good enough to photograph. And also, we have a YouTube channel where if you are a member, there is private content. So all the webinars that happen, they're published on YouTube, but they're unlisted. So unless you're a member, you will not be able to find them. And coming up in TGSU in March, the sales courses are starting again. This time we've got level 1, general sales, from first phone call to first handshake, how to make those deals. A second level, if you've already done the beginning course, is key account management, how to get more business out of your key accounts, how to make sure they stay with you. And then negotiation is another 3-hour over 3 days course. These are running from March till November. So if you've got anyone who needs a bit of a boost, or yourself who'd like to get more sales training, please participate in that. They are fantastic. A great reminder that you can learn in a systematic way how to be better at selling the stuff you do, which is always good. As I said, next week we start the regional development groups. The future leaders are ongoing, and the global service lines have another meeting. So if you would like to participate in any of these, reach out, contact me, or check out the TGSU webpage where you'll find all the events from March listed, and on clicking on it, you can register for the Zoom meeting there, and you will also be able to access the recording of the event if you have registered. So even if you're not going to be able to turn up, or you think you might not be able to, it's worth registering for the event so that we can send you the YouTube version when it's upline, so you can skip through it. And the recordings, we always put chapter tags so that in an hour webinar, you can jump through the sessions to find the important bits or the bits that interest you. So TGS, the next TGS Live will be in 1 month's time on the first Thursday of the month. That's the plan we're going for at the moment. You can read the TGS Digest periodically on the website. This is a cup of tea because tea, as you know, for someone with my accent, is very important. It's the fuel of what we live by. But you have a cup of tea, read the Digest, and you'll find out what's been happening in the network. And we will see you next week. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. If you think this content is interesting for your clients, perhaps, to see that you're part of TGS, please share it. As ever, put some comments in the box below. Please like it, please share it if you can. It gives us more visibility as a network, and in a sense it will increase your client experience and your TGS brand experience if you're saying, hey, I'm part of this network, I love this stuff. And we will see you next time. Thank you so much. Goodbye.